So we've got the Vanquish Stage 1 kit going on the Everest now, and it looks like so far about the only modification I'm going to have to do is a little bit of sanding on that post right there. Can't get my camera to focus on it. There we go. You can see the gap, or the lack of a gap here. So it looks like a millimeter, maybe 2. Needs to come off of the nub on the top and the bottom, and after that it should slide right on. So it's looking promising so far. If that's all it takes, then this is a pretty easy swap and should be pretty effective. So anyways, I'm gonna keep chugging away at this. So that little tiny white dot right there is where the center of the Vanquish, well, obviously I can rotate it down a little bit more, but at least as far as distance from that lip on the axle housing, that's where that lines up on. So in order to get this on here, you either gotta widen that hole, trim this. But if you trim this, you're going to push it in closer on the axle, and it sits about perfect in there. So I think what I'm going to try and do, and hopefully not ruin this, is to just widen that hole out a little bit. It's not going to hold as snug. Maybe use a self-tapping screw like they had in the Red Cat kit. So I don't know, we'll see. Worst case, I throw some fat axles on there from Boom Racing. So alright, so I've got stuff test fitted now. The bushings aren't in there, the screws aren't in tight, everything's just kind of mocked up for now, but definitely gonna need to get a new link there, a new drag link. This stock one with the Vanquish, see, it's just a bit too short. I mean, you could use it, you just have to tow them in a whole bunch, but to be able to maintain some straightness in the front, it's like you're definitely gonna need new drag link. So I had ordered this just in case, the Vanquish kit, the Curry SCX 8-degree titanium tie rod, and it looks like that one does fit. Again, it's not in there all the way, and there's still a little bit of toe in with where it's set there, but once they're straight, it'll fit, and it will keep the front wheels pointing straight. So the install is complete. You can see here, you get a good bit of steering angle out of that now. You can just about touch the springs if you have the wheel wideners. Without the wheel wideners, you can definitely touch the spring, but this Vanquish kit does require some type of wheel widener. Now, it doesn't have to be this wide. I think I can take off, get some different hubs. I didn't realize I was going to need that, so I went ahead and went to Hobbytown here locally, and they had some RC four-wheel drive wheel wideners, like the ones in that picture there. So all in all, it definitely helps out. I did end up sticking with the stock link, which I don't think is long enough. I do think I could get a little bit more steering angle out of it if I used the longer link. But using the longer link, I wasn't getting enough movement this way because it was too long and it couldn't pull it. So I think some endpoint adjustment, which I don't think I can do with the RXTX that it came with. I know you can do the ratio, the max, the max angle, but it's maxed out now. And when I had the longer arm on here and I had it maxed out, it would barely move the wheels over at all. So I went back to the factory one here, and then this is the Vanquish 8-degree, the arm from the Vanquish 8-degree kit. So stand up here so we can get better light. So what I ended up having to do here is the hole that's in the axle housing for the factory C-hubs is, like I showed, just a millimeter or two off. So I just widened out that hole, basically oblong the hole a little bit. Not my personal favorite solution, but my long-term plans are to get rid of this altogether. So as a temporary solution, it definitely held up over the weekend. Again, like, it probably gets old hearing me say it, but I'm not easy on my rigs. I don't buy them to baby them. One day I might build a shelf queen that is too pretty to get beat up. But again, I thrashed on the tires. It rolled down a bunch of hills. I rode it till the pack was done. But it performed pretty good, aside from the suspension being definitely a bit too stiff. And this chassis mount servo, which you can see here, I'm guessing this is a panhard link that they built into the chassis mount servo in the back and the front. But with that, it actually is blocking the suspension from getting full compression on a straight bump there. So on just one side compresses, you can get full compression of the suspension, but if you go straight down, you can see there, you're not getting full compression of the suspension with that chassis mount servo. So I was looking at the design, and I think it will be possible to trim this out. I was already able to slice this off, no problem, this back nub, which isn't the whole problem. Even with that nub gone, it's still, if my math was correct, not going to be enough to give you full compression. So what you essentially have to do is get rid of that back nub, and then perhaps even angle this up or thin this section out here. So I'm playing with that design to try and figure out a solution, because I think that might be part of why the suspension's so bumpy too. As you're going, it's hitting that, and you're bouncing off that chassis mount servo plate. So definitely need some tweaks there. I'm still going to leave it because I like the way it looks more. I didn't get a lot of bump steer. It actually, handled fine. At the end of here, I'll have some run videos. There's some slow-mo of the truck going through some sand, and you can kind of see it's bouncing, as opposed to the SCX-10s, which definitely absorb the bumps a bit better. I think they're a little bit too soft. You can tell that they're bottoming out in some of them, but all in all, I think they handle the bumps a little bit better. This one was all over the place. Now, whether it was all the suspension or it's the fact that it's hitting that chassis plate, I don't know. But we'll solve one or both of those at a time, or one of them at a time, and see which one helps the most. So all in all, definitely, I think the Vanquish Stage 1 kit in the front is worth it. Obviously, any of the kits, probably be about the same. I haven't done the back yet. The back is still the factory, but it looks like it's going to be more of the same here. If you line this up, it's a little bit different shape, and that one's basically just set in the same amount. It's like a couple millimeters off, a millimeter off, something like that. So I'll do the same thing on this one. I'll pull all this stuff off, slide this one over. I'm guessing I'll probably have to sand those down as well, just like the front. And then I'll stick that on there and stick a little white oil pin through there so I can dab where that hole is. I'll oblong it just a little bit with a Dremel, and then slide this on and see if we can get it to thread. So that'll be the last upgrade I do to the axles on this until something breaks. I'm waiting for Red Cat to come out with the metal gears for the transmission so that I can put the sensor brushless system in it. So what else have we got going on here? So covered the Vanquish system, the suspension. I guess the body is next. I did a bunch of trimming on this one. Let's see, a bit closer to the light here. So back here, basically touched all four fenders trying to get the tires to stop rubbing. Even with them pushed out, you know, they're still rubbing. So this is all trimmed up here. This is all notched in. I'm trying to keep it looking good still. The front seemed okay. I didn't really get much rubbing in the front. It was mainly in the back when it was fully compressed. This section was, and I've already trimmed it out a fair bit. There's not a whole lot of the lip left from the fender flare there, so I think I'm just gonna have to finish taking that up a little bit more to get it to fit. And what else did we get? Oh yeah, the spare tire is now gone. The one that it came with, I cut that off, which left this little gap here. But I am going to fill that gap with this box. So it's obviously a mock truck box. This was just a test print to kind of see if everything fit and how it looked. It was PLA and the spare tire snapped off. I still have it. Luckily I didn't lose the tire. I was able to get that, but that snapped off pretty much the first tumble. I somewhat expected it to, so I'm either going to have to print it out of the PETG or try and print some ABS, but everybody online is saying PETG is a bit better than ABS, so anyways, yeah, spare tire will sit pretty much the exact same spot the factory one did. And in the final version, I've got this hollowed out, so this is going to be actually inset and just like a little storage area. I might do the same with this because I know a rally truck's not necessarily going to have a big, you know, a big steel box in the back, so I might just turn this into a storage bin too, just hollow it out. But I kind of like the F-150 Raptor there. Again, it's just a test print, so I did it quick and dirty. But the point of that box is to cover this hole here where the chassis sits. So the chassis used to basically sit right on there, but the body was riding too high, so I cut that hole in the chassis and now, or cut that hole in the body, and now the body has that there and essentially rides right on the back fenders, which unfortunately was absolutely fine for trailing and crawling as long as I didn't crash. But pretty much every time I crashed, it was shimmying and shaking. So I got a couple options. I might add some magnets, or I might swap out this back Velcro for some actual hook and loop. It was that, I don't know, they had it on sale. It was like 99 cents for something. It's not typical Velcro. It's just some kind of plastic blobby, stemmy looking hook loop system thing. So I don't know, I'll play with that a little. It's definitely good enough to drive around, and you know, it's not like it just falls off every bump, but pretty much every roll it was coming off. So we do have some more in store for the Red Cat. This front is getting changed a whole bunch soon. It's performing fine the way it is, but I want to go for a little more scale Raptor look. So this front end is going to get a big project done to it relatively soon. I'm kind of planning everything out now. Some guys have already done it on the SCXs and stuff. So anyways, yeah, that's going to be coming up here hopefully in the next few weeks. I got at least another couple of days to a week of picking parts and making sure it'll work and asking some people some questions, and then get this thing rolling and go through a big change, and it should be pretty sweet. So yeah, stay tuned. Lots more coming.
Kind of didn't expect it to climb up that. I kind of wanted it to sit on it.